I'm so glad you responded positively because he's here tonight.
Hi.
That would have been horrible if you guys were like, eh. But no, I love Beau so much, and he's been here so many times that when we were offered another guy from Kentucky, I was like, we'll take him. I'm gonna have to hear him, we'll take him. Then I heard he was also a dentist, and I was like, this just keeps getting better. I brought my drill. See if we can get a little work done on the fly. Shows up, no Kentucky accent. Best introduction ever. This next guy's a huge disappointment. No, he's a very delightful man, and you're gonna love him. He's a 5-time Moth winner. Please welcome to the stage, Michael Kornblatt.
What's up, y'all? Hey, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But I did want to just take a second before we get started, and I wanted to thank Keith for a phenomenal story. I wanted to thank the Sofia for letting us put this show on tonight, and I wanted to thank every single one of you for coming out here to support me. On my birthday. I'm 40 years old, and here's what I want for my birthday. Do what you just did, but at the end of my show. Louder and on your feet. I feel like I'm entitled to a standing ovation because I am a straight white man and I have opened my mouth. And also, I have flown here from Kentucky. And let's be honest, none of you would have ever done that for me. You Californians, you don't fly to Kentucky, you fly over Kentucky. To anywhere else in the entire world. I know this because I tried to book flights for this show. And there are no direct flights. We can safely assume that if a plane takes off in California and it lands in Kentucky, that plane was on fire. You Californians, you think you're so much better than we are with your clean water, your clean air, and your avocados. But we're not so different, you and I. If you prick us, do we not bleed Velveeta? Cheese-related dairy product? And Velveeta is gross, I'll give you that. But the last time I was in California, I was at a dinner party with my wife, and I was served Yellow Jacket Larva chocolate fondue. Now, I'm not saying every Californian eats Yellow Jacket Larva chocolate fondue. But I am saying that we ate Yellow Jacket Larva chocolate fondue, and no one was surprised that it happened in California. And here's my hot take on chocolate. Or actually, this is chocolate fondue, so it might just be my regular take on hot chocolate instead of my hot take on regular chocolate. Chocolate is wonderful, but it's not magical. It does not make everything a dessert. You can't drizzle Hershey's syrup on a warm urinal cake, put it on ice cream, and serve it at Ben & Jerry's with a whimsical name like Drizzle While You Pizzle or Sprinkles While You Tinkle. My point is this, is we're all the same. And I think we just need to end this coastal elitism. And I know that it's real because I once was like one of you. I live in Kentucky, but I'm not from Kentucky. I'm actually from New York City. I ended up in Kentucky for a job. Yeah, the big reveal. I was cold called actually by a guy named Nick. I was living in the Bronx. I was doing my residency in pediatric dentistry. I'm a pediatric dentist. And I was called, thank you, and I was called by Nick. And Nick says in a slightly regional dialect, "Hi. My name is Nick Cease. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, and I have a wonderful opportunity for somebody with your credentials," which is very reasonable. But because of my biases, my coastal elitism, I didn't hear that. I heard banjo. Banjo and overalls. Which is so unfair. So I hung up the phone and Nick called me back. And he said, "Funny thing happened, we got disconnected." I have full service. I'm wondering, do you have good reception in New York City? I said, "Look, Nick, I don't know how you got my number, but I could not find Kentucky on a map. I'm not moving to Kentucky." And Nick says, "Michael, Kentucky is on the map, whether you can find it or not." And I looked it up, and he was totally right. It's right there in the middle. And I took the job, and I did not shove it. That's the twist on the theme. I've been working there for 11 years with high need, low income, and special needs children and their families for 11 years. Now, I love it down there. I love it down there. I met my wife down there. I got married down there. We had 2 kids. She's in the audience tonight. So let's give it up to my wife. Yeah. You guys will be happy to know she was not one of those high need, special children that I work with. I met her at the Moth. I met the Moth because we have the Moth down there. We have a ballet. It's a real place. It's great. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful state, and I owe so much to it, and I learned so much. But I want to tell you a little bit about the story about how I got to Kentucky. So I grew up in New York. I moved to Virginia for my bachelor's. I got a bachelor's in Spanish literature with a minor in biology and a minor in chemistry. And I was working my way through college. I was working in a genetics laboratory. It's called the Granger Lab. I don't know if we have any geneticists in the audience tonight. Okay. It's a very famous lab. They were doing gene mapping on a frog, an aquatic frog called the Xenopus laevis. And, I, as you can see, I'm very brilliant and very talented, and I had a crucial role at the Granger Lab. And it's going to be difficult to dumb it down and explain it to you since there are no geneticists in the audience. I'll do my best, okay? So my very crucial role, I really am, I'm oversimplifying. But my job was to clean the frog shit out of the filter. That was my job. I had another job too. These frogs, they loved to jump out of their tanks onto the floor. And when they jumped out of their tanks onto the floor, they would dry out into these little frog jerkies. And my job was to scoop up the little frogs and then dump them back into the tank. And if you got them quick enough, they would float down to the bottom of the tank like this, and then slowly they would rehydrate, and they would start to move around and swim around again. But it was stressful because you had to get these little frog jerkies before the office dog did. They might have been just chewy in just the right way for this dog. This dog must have eaten minimum $50,000 worth of frog specimens while I was there. The dog had become fat It would just lumber around like this. It had gained weight from the number of tiny little frog jerkies that it would eat. And I quit the job. I quit the job because it was stressful trying to take care of these cute little animals that were constantly trying to self-injure themselves, and also it was disgusting to clean all the frog shit out of the field. You understand. And so I didn't want to work for the rest of my life at something that was both stressful and disgusting. I think that's fair. So I became a dentist. And I have this piece of advice for anybody who was in a similar position as me. They didn't want a stressful and disgusting job. And if you're thinking about going to dental school, here's my advice. Stick to frog shit. Because, and this is true, in case anyone wants to, this is infotainment. You guys are learning at the same time. This is scientifically accurate. A cavity is, scientifically, what if a tooth could shit its pants? It doesn't have to be that gross. You all just won't floss. I don't understand it, okay? Getting you all to floss is like pulling teeth. And what I mean by that is, if you don't floss, I'm gonna pull your teeth. The ball's in your court. But eventually I got used to dentistry. It's not so stressful for me, and it's certainly not disgusting anymore. And kids are cute, so like adults are nasty, but kids are adorable. And so I thought to myself, how could I make my life more stressful and more disgusting? And I became a father. So much poop. So much poop. And it's the most stressful job that I've ever had, and it's also the best fucking job of my life. It's also one of the weirdest jobs of my life. The weirdest thing for me, like the job the aspect of fatherhood that I didn't anticipate was how much I was just gonna be holding wet food all the time, on the off chance that one of my toddlers will come off the swing or come off the slide and finish what they started. Because God forbid you should put that food down or throw it away. And they want it, and they will lose their ever-loving mind. And I'll be at the park, and fellow dads, we got fellow dads in here? We see each other, we're like, hey, what are you holding? I don't know, roast beef. I've got a boiled sweet potato. That guy's got just juice dripping down his arm, and I do not know what it is. My wife will try and hand me something like a diaper bag. She'll like, here, hold it. It's like, I can't. I have 2 hands full of half-eaten hard-boiled eggs. And she'll be like, still? You've been holding those since yesterday. They are not still good. I will wake up in the middle of the night and I will look down and my hand is cramped, still in this position. And I wake up one eye and I can see I'm holding a spoonful of cottage cheese with a single smushed blueberry to reduce the choking hazard. But there is one food that I don't have to hold for very long. Oh my God. Oh my God. Wait, I'm just making sure. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I do not know this woman. And at the same time, I deeply know this woman. I deeply know this woman. My son is 2 years old. His name is Ira. And he eats 50 pounds of bananas every month. I shit you not. I saved the receipts. Some of you who are not parents are thinking like, that's adorable. He's your son. He's bananas for bananas. You are wrong. It is not funny and it is not cute. He eats a deranged number of bananas. He eats 2 whole large bananas. He's 20 pounds. He eats 2 whole large bananas. He's 20 pounds for breakfast. And then he eats another 2 whole large bananas by the end of the day. That's 4 bananas. I'm gonna do some math. Can you bring me the chalkboard? We don't have the chalkboard. That's the adult equivalent of eating 17 bananas for breakfast and 34 bananas by the end of the day. I don't even think you understand how many bananas let's do a thought experiment, okay? You're sitting down to breakfast with your spouse, okay? You're sipping your coffee, you're talking about like what your day's gonna be. She peels and eats banana 1. You don't notice. Banana 2, okay. Banana 3, you're on alert. By banana 5, you're gonna grab her hand. You're gonna think she's having a banana-related psychotic break from reality. She's freebasing potassium. You're worried she might be having a stroke, and she is still 10 to 11 bananas short, depending on the size of the banana, of what my son eats for breakfast. Here's the last piece of math here, and then I'll let you go. Each banana is 3 grams of fiber. Four bananas, 12 grams of fiber. I quit the frog lab because it was too much poop. What do you think 12 grams, which is 600% of the daily fiber intake recommended for a 2-year-old? What do you think 600% or 12 grams of fiber does to the average size 4 diaper? I believe the great Nobel Poet Laureate, Gwen Stefani, said it best when she quipped, "His shit is bananas." B-A-N-A-N-A-S. Every job I've had, good or bad, it's led me to where I am today. I've never, ever been happier in my role as dad. And up here on stage doing what I love, I still miss him so much and I can't wait to go back and be daddy. That's my real birthday present. Thank you guys so much. And please, don't